Now, of course, sadly for us football fans, the big transfer story of the day is not in football. It's the fact that 7 times Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton will make a shock move from Mercedes to Ferrari for the 2025 season. For more on this now, we are joined by talkSPORT's motorsport correspondent, Jon Jackson joins. Hello, Jonathan.
JJ?
Yeah, good afternoon.
People call you JJ.
People do. They call me Jacko as well.
Do they?
Oh, Johnny. You know.
Well, Johnny's your name, right?
Well, yeah, but I think people get confused and think I used to play for Charlton because it's Johnny Jackson.
Johnny Jackson, same name. But then they look at you and they go, it's definitely not the...
Yeah.
How are you, Johnny Jackson?
It's been a while since I've run around. I wasn't expecting this today. I was expecting to be watching over Nottingham Forest transfer plans, which would keep me busy enough, given that they like to sign and do a bit of wheeling and dealing. And then another team in red come and strike. And what I'll say about this Lewis Hamilton rumour is that there were rumours last year. I don't know if you remember, but there was kind of rumours that he would potentially be interested in moving across, and they were quickly squashed. I mean, how long ago did this come out now? 6 or 7 hours? We've heard nothing.
Right.
Says quite a lot, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
How big a story is it in the world of Formula One then? Is it gigantic?
It is. It is gigantic. Because Lewis Hamilton has always been, since he moved from McLaren to Mercedes and had all the success with Mercedes, you know, we always thought he would end his career there, and even he said that he would end his career with Mercedes. But there is a lure with Ferrari, you know, that famous red car. Ayrton Senna is Lewis Hamilton's idol. He was going to go and drive for them before he passed away. You know, he could complete what his hero couldn't do. There's so much sort of romance involved in this. But what I will say is that I work with a lot of drivers in our coverage on Track, our motorsport show, and I travel with the Formula E World Championship. And even drivers that are in 16th place want to be winning. They're not doing it for the money. They're not doing it because they get a nice lifestyle. Every single driver is competitive and they want to win. So I don't for a minute believe that it's just a romantic decision. Lewis must think that this move gives him as better chance as any of winning that 8th World Championship.
And what can we expect of him next season? What car will he be driving? How does that work?
Well, obviously it's not been confirmed. Yeah. The awkward thing about this now is that this has obviously been leaked somewhere. Right. And it's not good to have been leaked from either side, because if you think about it, Mercedes and Ferrari in the next couple of weeks are going to launch their car for this year. Both of these drivers, and Carlos Sainz is the driver that would be displaced because Charles Leclerc's just signed a brand new massive multi-million-pound deal to stay at Ferrari. So they're going to be unsettled on either side here. So it seems like it's probably come from the Ferrari side, if any. But they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot because they've got a driver that's going to be in that team for a year who wants a massive contract, and they have been discussing a new contract, and it just seems like they've gone with a completely different option.
How much of this is down to the fact that Lewis is looking for that 8th World Championship and he probably doesn't think he's going to get it with Mercedes? They've not really been competitive since 2021.
Yeah.
Do you think the main reason he has left is to chase that 8th?
The main reason. There is the romance there that I've mentioned, but it's not solely a romantic decision. He's not won a race for over 2 years now. And you think about Lewis Hamilton, how dominant he's been. I think you have to face the facts.
How much of that, John, is down to the car?
It's a culmination of everything coming together at the right time. If you are in Formula One, you are one of the best drivers in the world. There's no question about it. You bring a lot of money to the team. That is true. I work with Formula E. Some of those drivers there are as good as Formula One drivers. It just comes down to circumstances, money, and things like that. Lewis moved from McLaren to Mercedes, and Mercedes were awful. They had no chance. It all came together, and look at the success they've had there. He's won 7 world titles. It could be that Ferrari, who've got a very fast car, but a very inconsistent, a very unreliable car, like my first car, which was a Fiat Punto, by the way. Literally, it could be that they've managed to iron those problems out, or they've promised Lewis's people that they've ironed those problems out. And he's looking at the Mercedes going, well, it's not been very good for 2 years. They're not really, wowing me with any promises for this coming season. So you know what? I might as well see what if. Because if he ends his career and he never went to Ferrari and Ferrari turned out to have been good... he'll be kicking himself forever. But yeah, it's all down to this 8th world title. He wants to win that world title.
But can Ferrari seriously compete with Red Bull? I mean, what's got to change? Because, as you mentioned, he's been a former world champion. He wants to win. He's not in it for the money. He's a very incredibly wealthy boy. Yeah. This is a personal decision to go to Ferrari. But can they compete with Red Bull?
This last season in 2023 were the one team that felt like if the car was more reliable, they could have challenged. I'm not saying they were close, but they showed the signs of the right sort of progression. And I think if they can get this reliability better, they've got probably a better chance than Mercedes, and that's probably what Lewis is thinking. I think we're not going to kid ourselves and think that Red Bull is suddenly going to not be the dominant team. They are. But if Ferrari have found a breakthrough with that car, maybe not this year, but obviously next year. I mean, obviously, Mercedes could be really, really good. And Toto Wolff, the team principal of Mercedes, has hinted that he's really impressed with what he's seen. Lewis might go and win the title this year and surprise us all, and then sail off into the sunset with Ferrari. It's probably unlikely.
Okay, you're a big fan of Toto Wolff, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you know about him?
He's the director. He's the big dog, big cheese with the headphones and the mic piece. And he gives all the orders. Gets very angry.
He knows his stuff.
That's who. The Wolfmeister.
I think you know.
The Wolfman, Awuga.
Yeah, I think you know a little bit more than Jason. I'll be honest, and that's probably why you've got a very successful podcast that's out. When is the next edition of that out? It's called On Track.
It's called On Track.
When is that out next, John?
Every Tuesday. It's also available. It's on talkSPORT too. It's also available on the talkSPORT podcast network. So obviously this will be a huge story next week. And at the moment we've got a little bit of Formula E action because Formula One's like a month away from starting. So I work with Formula E and we've been covering electric motorsport. And if you think everyone's calm in F1, everyone's very calm in Formula E because there's no noise going on. No. It's all silent.
Well, maybe Jay, would you guest appearance?
Can they?
Do you want to do that?
Happily. Can they not look?
We haven't got time for this question.
No, seriously.
Put a noise in it.
Speakers on the car to make it sound like there's an engine in it.
Right.
Why don't they do that?
You mean like when they reverse lorries? I tell you what.
No, don't interrupt him.
There's one flaw there. Electric cars don't have gears.
No, there's one floor there, and he's sitting to my right. Jon Jackson, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
That was good. It was really good. The crash. Do you want to do the crash one more time? When we come back, we'll be asking you, now the window is just about to close. We'll be asking you. My club didn't get what player, what position.
Phone up with your best F1 impression.
Okay, we do that on another night.
talkSPORT Drive. Super opinionated sporting debate. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.